So, hi everybody, welcome to this event. I'm not sure how many people have been to events before. I see a few familiar faces. We've got previous stars of our chats here. I can see Andy and Rachel. I'm not sure if I'm missing anybody else out because there's a lot of names here. It's great. It's such a popular chat. But these are something that we put on as a charity. We're called Bluetonic, and basically what we do is we're here to just promote the natural restorative effects of being in, on and around water. I don't know if anybody's read the book called The Blue Mind, but the charity is sort of loosely based on the principles set out in that book, which was it's a brilliant read, and it's all about really the sort of science behind why we gravitate towards water, the fact that we're made of water. Obviously, over the years we've built cities and things around water, but that's not just for trading and things like that. They've sort of realised that it is that we really do gravitate towards water, and it has a real natural, calming, restorative effect on people. And the stats coming out, like if you visit blue spaces twice a week, you actually are proven to live longer. It creates more longevity and stuff like that. So the charity is about raising awareness about these free assets that we have in and around us, and being in the Midlands and being landlocked away from that. Me personally, I had a time where my mental health was pretty challenged. I had a bit of a difficult time, and water was something that I just went to, and I realised that being from the sea originally, I really did that really naturally when I was by the sea. But it wasn't so much natural to do it in land. And it wasn't until starting sort of swimming inland and doing some of the Great British Swims and things like that I started to sort of research things and get a few people together in a pub and talk about the possibility of kicking the charity off. And we did that in just before lockdown. Since then, we've gone on to develop our website, which I hope people have a look at, and we've got our presence on social media. And then we've mapped out walks, which was great because Cadi came to one of our talks. I think it was Cadi, wasn't it, when we first met? And off the back of that, she helped us with a project where we mapped out some walks that are free for people that are around water, and suggest spots where you can stop and do a mindfulness activity. And we popped stuff like that onto our website. And we've also got things like a project in the pipeline that we're going to be doing is an Under the Bridge choir, which is quite apt for this evening. It's about men's mental health, really. And we're going to be bringing a group of guys together that are all around mine and Paul's age. And those who were here earlier, Paul mentioned that I'm a bit old before my time, but I class the sort of Britpop era of singing as my era. So the vision is that we're going to get a group of guys together, all of a similar age, hopefully, and we're going to look at those songs that were written in that era that were about mental health and well-being, things like James Sit Down, or if you know, in Spiral Carpets, This Is How It Feels to Be Lonely, those kind of things. And we're going to get a group of guys together. We've got the university involved in Nottingham. We've got a film crew that are going to record it, and we'll take them through a load of positive activities around water, as well as studio time, a choir. We've got a choir master, and we're going to end with a live performance, which I can tell you that when the date of that is now. The live performance will be Singing Under a Bridge on the Trent on the 3rd of August in Sawley. So what could be going? So that's the sort of things that we do. We've also got, from doing these talks, it's been really useful for networking. And we've started to put together a group of people who are going to be ambassadors for our charity. And we're just finalising that and starting to put messages out around ambassadors, what they are and what they're going to do. But essentially, they're just going to help get key messages out about the charity, help grow things, and listen to ideas that are coming in, and develop things where they can. But it's essentially about putting those, like promoting the ethos and the learning about what the sorts of things we're going to do and stuff like that. Yeah, Paul, if you can pop the link in, that would be great. If you could, that would be perfect.
Already in, Scott.
Oh, perfect. Well done. So yeah, we everything that we do with the charity is free at the point of contact. So we're trying to make that pledge to make sure that we don't charge anybody for anything. And just need to mute a couple of people. Sorry, guys. And so, you know, it is great if people feel like they've had a really good evening tonight. We don't put it up front, and we certainly don't labour the fact, but it's great if people feel like it's been worthy of a donation. Paul's popped in a link there where you can donate if you want to, but you know, even a couple of quid helps. But equally, we understand that, you know, any amount of money can be a big amount of money, and we want as many people to engage in these sessions as possible and not feel like they have to pay for stuff. So that's basically us, really. If you do know people that have missed this, we are recording it. Hence, we understand that some people might not want to be on camera, and you know, it's probably never going to get people famous or anything like that. And we do pop the recordings onto YouTube. And I know a few people on here are following that, so I hope you've had some good experience of watching back some of the chats if you've been to them, or going back and looking at the back catalogue. We've got some really nice chats, and Rachel's promised me she's going to come back on next winter because I didn't press record on hers. Yeah, we're going to do that. So that's enough really about me. How just last thing is how it'll work is we're going to sort of work through some questions with Cadi, just in the conversation really, and we're going to learn a little bit about her life and what she's doing and where that links to being in and around water. And then we will have a pause, and we do break into rooms, and it's really great if people can join in with that. It's been a really big part of growing what we're doing as a charity, and people have attended. I don't know if people do pop where they're from in here. We've had people from all over the world, Israel, I think we had Iran one week, we've had Australia, we've had America, and we've had people from all over the UK. We've even been across to Ireland as a result of these chats and met people and gone on amazing swims and had adventures and stuff. So it's a big part of it is just splitting into smaller rooms and just having a little bit of a chat and stuff. So yeah, hi from the New Forest and stuff. It's nice to know where people are from, and all we do in that section is just chat about the evening, about whether you swim, whether you're interested in swimming, just anything really that comes up, that comes to mind, and it'll be about 4 or 5 people in the room. Okay, without further ado, I'm just going to spotlight you, Cadi, and yeah, so welcome. Thank you for coming on.
That's all right. Sorry, I'm still taken aback because it's spotlighted me for me as well. So I just can see my face really big now. So.
Is that off-putting? Are you okay?
It's fine. I'll stare past myself. It's absolutely fine.
But yeah, welcome. It's brilliant you've come on. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. So like with most people, we normally kick off with just like your experience of swimming, just and being around water, just growing up and everything like that. What was that like in your developing years and stuff?
So I think my first memory of going swimming was probably primary school. We used to get the bus over to big school, and probably my first memory of it really is just the fact that somehow during every swim session, when we all got out of the pool, somebody would have lost either a shoe or an item of clothing. And that person would then have to walk back to the bus with a plastic bag over whatever part of them they had lost the clothing from. And looking back, I just think, where did all those shoes and all those items of clothing go to? Every week someone lost something. So probably my first memory of swimming. After that, I think my strongest childhood memories of swimming were holidays with the family. We used to drive over to France, Spain, Italy, and one of the prerequisites my sister and I always demanded of a campsite was that it had a playground and a swimming pool or a lake to swim in, and just having wonderful holidays, jumping in the lakes, in the swimming pools, but also trying to race my mum, who was a very strong swimmer. She was always breaststroke, and she didn't look like she was putting any effort in, but you could not get to the end of the pool before her. It was just impossible. And I just remember thinking, wow, one day I want to be able to beat her at Olympic swimming. And I'm still not sure I ever did, but yeah, those my sort of formative swimming memories.
Yeah. And were there times that ever sort of you've been away from the water or not as engaged and things like that?
Probably not as engaged when I was sort of early 20s,
yeah,
late teens. I've always swam. But it was intermittent. I might have months when I didn't go to a pool or something like that, and then I'd be back there again. But I think I've always loved the water. And you know, I sort of mentioned my mum, and she didn't do much. She loved the outdoors, but she wasn't sporty at all. So swimming was her only sport as such. So if I wanted to do a sport with her, it would be going to the pool.
Yeah. And so, like, as you fast forward now, you suppose, like, how did you end up building what looks like an amazing? I mean, I've been up to the lakes, haven't I? We've swum up there, and it's such a beauty. I know I've not been in the lake. I don't know if it was an illegal swim we did, but it was certainly beautiful.
Wild swim.
A wild swim, rather. But yeah, it's so beautiful up there. So from there, you've ended up running and building what looks like an amazing swimming community up there, and testimonial to how many people have turned up to listen to you. So yeah, what's put you on that path?
Oh, it's probably quite a lot in between the two. I mean, the lake is just an amazing community. What's put me on that path? That's quite a, I don't know, that's quite a big, yeah, quite a big leap in between the two. I guess. I
suppose we plan. Sorry, I'm just like, you know, but I suppose we know we planned a few questions, haven't we? And I know that, like, obviously what you're doing now came about after some unfortunate deaths of loved ones and things like that, haven't they? And then you've ended up doing that, haven't you? But I don't know if that's a direct connection or.
I think that I guess for me, everything that happens in your life leads you to where you are in that moment, doesn't it? Which is, for me, probably why I think I've been lucky in life to be where I am now. So with, as you mentioned, the lake and how wonderful it is, I'm very lucky to have come to that in my life, and all of the other things leading up to that are what got me there. So despite the fact that some of those things might not have always been positive, what you take from them and where you get to, it's all a result of that. So yeah, obviously, as you mentioned, you know, I've left, as a lot of people have in their life, I've lost a couple of loved ones. I don't know, I don't use the word lost, actually. I haven't lost a couple of loved ones. My partner died in 2014. He took his own life. My mum died a few years ago of cancer. And actually something that I've really thought about quite a lot recently is not using that word lost, because I've not lost anything, because I've actually gained so much from them. I gained so much while they were alive. I still gain from them now, and that's why I am where I am. And I think because we sometimes use terms like having lost someone, and having this belief that we almost possess things, that's why it's very hard to move forward. And when we can accept that impermanence of life, that nothing is permanent, and obviously, as we've seen in the last week, peace isn't permanent, but war isn't permanent either. Nothing is permanent. And when we can accept that, it forms the life that we have.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just something that that is so important to who I am now and where I am now, is accepting those things.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I certainly went on a journey thinking about that in a similar way, in that, you know, getting to that point where you realize you can only control what you can control, and stuff. Well, that's what I heard from that a little bit. So
yeah, and I think it's absolutely true, you know, control the controllables, and actually there's not much we can control, and so to let go of things, and that actually is so relevant to water as well. There's that saying of, you never swim in the same piece of water twice. Water changes constantly, it moves constantly, and yet we never go and get in the water and say, well, this isn't exactly the same as last time, I'm not enjoying this. No. We accept the changes, we embrace it, and that's something that, you know, again, I've seen at the lake this year, which has been so wonderful to watch. Every single week, whatever the weather is like, whatever it's doing, the swimmers come along and absolutely embrace the fact that it's different, that it's changed again, and that some weeks it's harder or colder or more testing, and some weeks it's less testing, and actually they're not necessarily the weeks that they enjoy the most. So I think that the water just shows us how that impermanence and that change can be a really wonderful thing, and that just going with what's happening in the moment is the best thing.
Yeah, without sounding cheesy, that go with the flow kind of thing.
Yeah, it's all about flow, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No. So yeah, I mean, I don't, if you want to tell us a little bit more about your life coaching and how you've sort of used your experiences, and I'm presuming have developed a sort of set of skills to help people get in a space similar to what you've just been describing, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the life coaching and the lake have come about because of my life experiences. Certainly, when my partner took his own life, it was obviously a huge upheaval for me, and but the main thing it showed me was how important other people were. I probably would have classed myself as someone who wasn't a people person before that. Wasn't very good at meeting new people and accepting not differences, and accepting new people, because I would probably put a barrier up. Whereas the kindness I was shown after my partner died, and you know, I remember really distinctly, I started writing a blog just after he died, and in the very first blog piece I mentioned the sea of hands holding me up, and I've never forgotten writing that, and I can't remember most of that blog, I'll be honest. I can't remember. I've read things back since and can't remember writing them, because obviously my brain was going through quite a traumatic time. But I do remember that sea of hands, and I think that is really relevant to that water connection, but also to how I realised that people could help you just in little things they said, little things they did, just by being there. And I also realised how important it was for me to be open about what had happened. Again, going back to the blog, when I was open on the blog and I was honest about how I felt and what was happening week to week, trying to come to some understanding about losing someone so suddenly, other people came to me and opened up. And I think that's really relevant, Scott, because the conversation we had earlier, obviously, you know, you did the same. And I said to you, I always want people to tell their stories. This is not about just my story, it's about everybody's stories, because when I tell my story, other people will tell their stories back. And that probably comes to the life coaching, because people would come to me and they would talk to me and they would maybe ask advice, and I would try and give advice, and felt a bit uncomfortable because it didn't feel right giving advice, until I found out about life coaching, where you don't give advice, where you just help people get to the conclusions themselves. You help them realize that they know the answers, they have the resources, and you can just be the person who helps guide them to that end point. by opening that up for you. And that was a real light bulb moment for me, realizing that it was not about telling people what to do, not about giving advice. It was just about knowing the right questions to ask and listening to them.
No, and it was like, you know, for me, this chat, like out of all the guests that we've had so far, and I said that to you earlier, didn't I? It was, for me, it was like, yeah, one that I was really excited about, really, but there was a little bit of trepidation, just because I knew it would spark things. You know, I certainly had life coaching, like, and that was the thing that helped me. I went through some counselling and things like that, but the story I told Cadi earlier was basically when I was quite young. Unfortunately, my father died. Had a heart attack when I was about 4. My mum had a breakdown at the same time, so I had this period, can't really remember it, where I went off and lived with different people in the family, and it was all really turbulent. Bits of it I remember being exciting but terrifying at the same time. It was like and it's you know, since then, doing all the therapy and things like that, I've realised that, you know, the trauma that you suffer in those early development years of your brain is a lasting thing. And then fast forward to another crucial period of your brain development around 17, 18. Unfortunately, I lost my father, and also at the same time we had an incident at an open water swimming pool that I was managing, where unfortunately a young lad died. Both of those resulted in me doing CPR on those people, and my father, obviously, which is another sort of added thing to the trauma, if you get what I mean. And I bottled that up from my teenage years. I just found every way of pushing that away, of trying to escape, through drinking, through you know, just going off the rails, just sort of all over the place, or looking after myself, all those kind of things. Luckily, I met somebody who was like a real pillar for me, and still is. But I sort of forgot it for quite a few years. I went through that initial period of like, but I was always pushing things away. And it wasn't until having some counselling and recognising really that as a bloke, like now, off the back of your story, I think at times I was probably pretty close that I could have done something really silly. And I certainly, I feel there's a stigma around talking about suicide, because it's that sort of, you know, blokes don't like to admit that they might have been that close themselves. Do you know what I mean? Or even saying it, I feel like I'm sort of saying that if because somebody else did, that makes me, it doesn't make me like any different in other way. Just some circumstance meant that it didn't happen. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, that's the sorts of things we were reflecting on earlier. I don't think I've ever said it like that before, but there you go.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to say it and to say the word suicide, and actually really powerful. You've said it to quite a few people there, and for us not to be afraid of using those words and asking people as well. Certainly, I have asked people who have come to me in the past, have you had suicidal thoughts? And actually, it's the best question to ask, because they will answer you honestly whether they have or not if you ask that question. Yeah. If you ask any other question that sort of dances around it a bit, you're not going to get the real answer. And then there's no way forward. There's no way from that. And speaking the word doesn't make it any more likely to happen.
No.
In fact, it makes it less likely to happen. So, yeah.
But certainly, like, you know, we've both chatted quite a bit about life coaching. I've really appreciated you giving me some time from learning and doing some of the life coaching courses. But I don't feel like with everything I've got at the moment, I can dedicate myself fully to doing that. So I have never delved into that, but it's something that I'm certainly exploring in the future to help other people. but yeah, I've always really appreciated, like, and I can fully recognise the techniques that you're using and everything like that. So I don't know if you want to talk about that to people and sorts of things that you can do to help.
So my life coach training is basically person-centered. So it's all that the belief is that the person has the answers, and that I'm just there to help them get to them. But I also use NLP, so I'm an NLP practitioner, and that's neuro-linguistic programming. And that all goes down the belief of your brain has patterns laid down in it, and some of them are really positive and some of them are incredibly helpful, such as not having to think about making a cup of tea. So you just do it without noticing because your brain has the cup of tea pattern laid down in it. But some of our brains also have other bad patterns, such as the go to the cupboard and grab another biscuit pattern, and other negative ones, such as reacting to people. We usually all have someone in our lives who can provoke a reaction quite quickly. I can say it on here because she's not here, but my sister's the person that can do that to me. And so there's a pattern that's been laid down in my brain since childhood, where she knows exactly the right way to trigger that pattern to get a reaction from me. So with NLP, it's all about working on changing any of the negative patterns. As much as I have progressed hugely, I haven't quite managed to change my reaction to my sister when she wants to wind me up yet. But when I do that, I know I'll have really done well. But yeah, that's the way I work. So person-centered, so it's all about talking and NLP, but also a lot of that connects with mindfulness, meditation, and that sort of comes back to the water, which is where I think we can be incredibly mindful and meditative, and that's
looking at a course, yeah.
And then that's something that, yeah, I work with more and more, and that's why I think that the life coaching and the lake are so linked together, because, well, for two reasons. They're great for me because life coaching is very much one-to-one, individual, don't see many people throughout the day, and the lake is the total opposite. It is full-on people, talking. You go away sort of buzzing, exhausted, but in a great way. Absolutely awesome. So the two things complement themselves in my life. But I also believe the reason we've got such a fantastic community at the lake is because we are all open to each other and to talking. And the general feeling at the lake is that most people, especially at this time of year, are there for those mental health benefits, for that mindful meditative state, for the great feeling you get from the water. Mm-hmm. So I really do think that the two things are just incredibly connected for me.
Yeah, and what I love is the sort of level playing field that the swimming creates, and certainly, like, you know, when you're in water and you can just see someone's head, there's something about, like, you know, you're not judging. Naturally, people judge people on all sorts of things, don't they? But when you're just heads just bobbing around, all smiling faces as well, which is infectious a lot of the time. Yeah, it's just a lovely sort of place to be with people, isn't it? And stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
I do. I think that I'm sure that most swimming venues are like that. I'm sure they are. I obviously am incredibly biased. I think ours is just so friendly and so wonderful, and the people there just give me such joy. That I do think it's an absolute. I don't think we do judge people. I don't think we do. I think that it's just come along and enjoy it, and that's that's it.
No, really. I didn't mean people would actively seek out and judge somebody. I just
no, but it is true.
Conscious bias, you know, type sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely true that when we see someone, and I always talk about this, we make up stories all the time in our heads, and so we'll make up a story about a person as soon as we see them, and part of that is a judgment on them. And I think what it teaches you as well is that when everybody's turning up in swimming costumes or wetsuits,
yeah,
you haven't got that sort of what they're wearing sort of thing. You haven't got that oh, I wonder what job they do wearing that, or about, you know, all that sort of thing. I see quite a few of my swimmers when I'm, you know, away from the lake, I'll bump into one. I don't even recognise them because they look like a different person, as I say, with their clothes on. So I just think it kind of strips things down a bit, quite literally strips people down a little bit, and everyone's just on this more level, not playing with level water.
But no, no, I mean, it's great seeing the posts on the Hoveringham site and everything like that, and it's just it looks like a wonderful community, and we're going to have to come over and do some swims over there, and hopefully, I know we've got Sally who lifeguards up there, who's been great doing some stuff for us, and I think she's here tonight, isn't she, as well? So yeah, we need to pop up and do a bit of a swim up there with some of the Bluetonic guys, really. So I think, like, the sort of second half of stuff would definitely be great for people to jot down any things that you want to talk about, or any stories you've got about the lake, because I think we've got a lot of people here from Hoveringham. It'd be lovely to hear some bits and any questions that people have got as well for Cadi. But one thing I wanted to ask you about before maybe we split up into rooms and meet a few people in that scenario is your role as your Swimathon Ambassador. How did that come about? And yeah,
I think that was one of the in-between stages, probably, that I would certainly, so after my partner died, I certainly got into doing challenges a lot more. For a start, he had been trying to get me to cycle the coast to coast in a day with him, and I'd refused. And when he did die, I decided that I needed to do that for him. So that was my sort of first big challenge on my own. And I think that gave me so much courage to do more, and to put myself forward for more things. And, you know, as you know, things like ultra running and things like that, I just love doing that. But I realized that I had also got into a bit of a rut with my swimming, which was that I too was just swimming breaststroke all the time. I'd forgotten how to do front crawl and didn't dare try it for fear that someone might try and save me, because it would have been such a terrible terrible stroke when I tried to do it. And I saw the applications come up for Swimathon Ambassadors, as this is about 4 years ago now. And so I wrote to them and pretty much said that. I said, I'd really like to relearn front crawl, and as an ambassador, I would like to take on your 5K challenge, and I'd like to do it all in front crawl. If I was an ambassador, that's what I'll do. And I was accepted as an ambassador. So it was pretty awesome. I got to go to the Olympic pool in London, the one that they built for the Olympics in 2012. I got to meet Duncan Goodhue and touch his Olympic medal. And I got a lesson in the pool from Kerry-Anne Payne, who's an Olympic distance swimmer, absolutely beautiful swimmer. If you ever see a video of her swimming, it's just amazing how smooth she is in the water. And so I did, along with the other, all of their ambassadors had something that they wanted to focus on, and mine was to be able to do 5K in the pool fully front crawl, which I did, and I was really excited about that. So it was just another great challenge ticked off. But certainly that was when I was still pretty much just a pool swimmer, and I'd forgotten the whole outdoor swimming thing. So it was about another year before I went up to Scotland for a conference up at Glenmore Lodge in Aviemore, and someone said, oh, in the morning we're getting up early and going up to this loch, and we're going to swim in it. And that was my first adult wild swim. I didn't have swimming costume with me, so it was just underwear. There was snow on the ground. I got in for about 30 seconds, and that might be stretching it. And it was amazing. And so I went from pool, dedicated 5K front crawl pool swimmer, to, oh my gosh, cold water's amazing, and I only need to be in there a very short amount of time. So that they were sort of the steps in between that got me from the childhood pool swimmer to kind of running a swimming lake, because that little loch in Scotland, the Green Loch up in Aviemore, changed things a lot for me.
Yeah, because you know, I do see you as a person like with your ultra running and things like that. There's so many things to talk about with you, Cadi. That seems to like the physical challenge side, but also like really appreciates that just like connecting with nature side of just swimming.
Yeah, the whole point of all of the things that I do is, there's a lot, you know, it is the self-challenge and everything, but being in nature, being outdoors is just amazing. And it's my headspace. You know, long distance running is my headspace, swimming is my headspace. It's also, you know, something to mention, it's also the people you meet along the way. Yeah. It's when you do these things and when you're open to these things, you meet like-minded people. And I've just met so many awesome people over the last few years who I wouldn't have met if I was sitting in home or just going to the pool or just running on a road all the time. Doing something a bit different, getting into nature and meeting those other people who have that nature connection, it's just been invaluable to me. Yeah,
no, definitely 100%. Which, meeting new people, that's a good time to pause probably, and just sort of, very professionally done, Cadi. And we're gonna break out into some rooms and stuff. I just need to say goodnight to my kids and stuff. So it's not the only reason we do it. Like I say, it's a brilliant chance to just sort of meet people, hopefully dotted around, but equally if they're close by to you, that you might not have had a conversation about stuff like this together. So please, like, if you can, pop your cameras on and just have a chat for sort of 10-15 minutes with people. We'll come back, we'll ask Cadi some more questions, and then we'll open up to you guys as well. So if you think of any questions yourself that you want to ask her, or chat to about, or anything that we've talked about, it'd just be great to connect on that and stuff. So I'll close the rooms probably in about 10-15 minutes, if that's okay.
Kids safely in bed.
What's that? Oh, the kids.
Are the kids safely in bed?
Well, she is. Emily's still just getting back from her swimming, so she's got swimming tonight. She'll be back soon. Was it a nice chat?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. It's nice to see 3 people who are local to Cadi who swim at her lake.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've got the Hoveringham massive in, haven't we?
Yeah, I reckon.
So, yeah. Which is good. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Sally.
Hi. I'm going to turn my mic off now so I can't inadvertently munch biscuits or anything in the background while you can hear and see me. I'm looking through the bottom of my glasses because it's the only bit I can see through at the moment. They're not strong enough. The joys of varifocals.
Yeah. I know that feeling, Sally.
I've just had to get much stronger varifocals. Sorry, I'm in my pyjamas as well, so just...
That's it. But more cameras have come on, so I think we've done something right, haven't we? People are feeling more and more comfortable.
We've been talking to each other.
Yeah. Where it could lead, I don't know. You know, I hope it's just cameras coming on really and stuff. But yeah, I'm sure. So yeah. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Hope that was good and nice to sort of meet people and chat, even if you did know each other already. But hopefully you met a few people that you'd not had a chance to catch up with properly or things like that. What was your room like, Cadi? Was it good?
Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah, I got to meet Sarah, who I've not met before, so that was lovely. And Paul was there, and Jolene and Joe. So yeah, it was a very nice room. We had some good chats.
The worst volunteer at Hoveringham, apparently, we had in our room. Don't know who it was.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Rooney found that very funny, so I'm guessing that something's going on there. So, but is it the Hoveringham Massive then? Is it mainly people from Hoveringham? Anybody from anywhere further afield?
Yeah, well, Sarah, who was in our room, she's from Brighton. She's not not the Hoveringham Massive. I think there's a few others here that aren't from Hoveringham as well.
I loved swimming at Brighton. I've swum at Brighton. It was brilliant, really wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. You can get all kinds of sea, and sometimes a really, very sudden shelf, and sometimes it goes out for it. It can be anything on any day. But I'm not a seasoned swimmer like I think all you are. But I'm inspired now. This might be the year. No,
I think I would. I've been to Brighton a few times because my daughter was there for a year, and she was a swimmer. Oh, well, is a swimmer. She still swims. So. She got involved with the Brighton Swimming Club, and they were so welcoming and said that whenever I came down, I could just go and use their facilities by the pier and join their morning swims. And I thought that the people I met in Brighton were incredibly welcoming to a complete stranger, and they, to the extent that they opened their facility to me with no payment, with no agenda, and said, oh, well, we normally go to this cafe after our swim. You're welcome to join us. I mean, I genuinely felt like Brighton was somewhere I could live as a result. Yes, I was just so impressed with how warm and welcoming everybody was.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. I think, that is true. I do a lot of sports, and it's very normal. Like, now we go for coffee, or now we go for a drink, now we go for a slice of cake. It's just very normal. And the sea swimming's just become huge in the last couple of years. It's, any day of the year, no matter the weather, there will be people in the sea. Dry robes are the fashion here now. It's just everyone is swimming in the sea. So that's why it's piqued my interest. And I thought, I need to be one of those people, not just the summer, year round.
I was down in Brighton at the beginning of February and swimming in the sea at Brighton.
Okay, so welcome back, everybody. What I have done in the half-time interval, or whatever we want to call it, I just popped a few links in. They can all be found from our Facebook page, but if people are looking to subscribe to our YouTube channel, there's a direct link there that takes you through, and you can just subscribe straight away. So it'll drop you a message just to let you know when we put new videos on there, and you can get straight through and look at all the back catalogue of talks that are on there already. Just in terms of talks, we've only got 2 left, because I'm not going to be running we're not going to run these through the summer months, because I just don't want to be on Zoom. I'll be honest with you. I want to be out swimming and doing stuff. But we've got 2 people left to come on. We've got one guy called Matt Jones. He is a surf therapy coach, and he works for I think they've got a base in Brighton, the Wave Project, which is about engaging young people and giving them really positive experiences around surfing. But it's, even if they're getting the experience of surfing off, it's basically getting them into water and getting them doing stuff. I've known Matt for some time, so it's great that he's coming on. So he's on in 2 weeks' time, and then 2 weeks after that, we've got Kath Pendleton, who's the Merthyr Mermaid. I don't know if anybody knows the Merthyr Mermaid, but she's on the BBC iPlayer, and I know a few people on here will probably know her. So we're quite.
It's fantastic to watch that.
Definitely, Sally. Yeah. So she's coming on to sort of, and I know her life's story sort of on there, isn't it, a little bit on the Merthyr Mermaid, but it's still going to be nice to sort of hear that story from, and her. She's really interested in Bluetonic, which is really nice. So they're our next 2 guests. So please do follow us on Facebook, and you'll get to see the dates come out for those, and the booking on process and everything like that. But back to Cadi and everything now. So really, I don't know if you want to. What else do you want to talk about? We've got things down here, Cadi, like where is the most beautiful place you have swum? How important has water been to your health and well-being, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and I don't know if anybody else has got questions as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously I've sort of babbled on with my story for a while now. So if anyone's got any questions they want to ask about anything I've said, anything like that, I'm more than happy to answer. or I can just talk you through all of the best places I've ever swum, which could take a while. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, they want to pop in the chat or anything like that, then please ask away. In the meantime, one of the best places I swam was off the west coast of Scotland, which was stunning, swimming towards the Isle of Skye at sunset. Very cold sea, but absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful up there, isn't it? The water's so crystal clear, and the beaches and everything. Yeah.
It's just magic, absolute magic. So, yeah.
I just want to say to Sally, Paul's already answered your question, but thank you for being the only person that's ever realised that. I've been on my own sort of saying that Bluetonic, the name, is from a great song by the Bluetones, and everybody looks at me gone out like you know. So yeah. Thanks, Sally. Yeah, me too. Yeah, and yeah, I had an amazing swim up in the lakes last week. That was just so nice. And it's the first time I've done a winter swim just with the family. Just sort of said, "Oh, do you mind just pulling over by here?" And I'm just going to get in on my own and do it. You know, like without. I've took a little video, but it's like I'm trying not to put too much stuff on that's all mine, if you get what I mean. So I will pop it on at some point. But it was just amazing. Just after a really big walk up a hill to come down and just sort of let yourself almost dissolve into the water, into the freezing cold water. It was lovely.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I'm very lucky. My sister and sister-in-law both wild swim as well, and so if we're on a family holiday, if we're ever away for a weekend, it's just sort of compulsory that we have to find somewhere to swim. And you know, we all went away to the lakes last year, and I think in one day we managed to swim 3 times while we were out hiking. And my dad just sort of sits at the side of these bits of water, slightly resigned to the fact that he's just got to wait for us to all strip off, have a swim, and then get out, get dressed again. Okay, we'll carry on. So yeah, he just sort of sits there holding the dog's lead and waits for us to get on with it. So
yeah. No, but when we swam up at Hoveringham, that was a year and a half ago, probably. I can't remember when it was, but it was definitely last winter, and that was the coldest swim I'd ever done. And I remember thinking, Cadi, you were in about twice as long as me, or something like that. I was in and out quite rapidly. But yeah, that was like another. There's so many little experiences you have that sort of piece together your whole package of stuff. But that was definitely one standout moment for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the name was Waterlog by Roger Deakin, and that's kind of exactly what he did. You know, he went around the country swimming in all these different spots. A lot of them were historic swimming spots. One was his own garden, because he had a moat in his garden, as you do. But his descriptions of them, and it was just beautiful. And I've read quite a lot of books since that also describe things beautifully, like Wild Woman Swimming and things like that. But yeah, those magic moments, and it's not about how long you're in the water or how much you do. Immersion in nature is just so wonderful.
Well, I got the gist of that, Cadi, but for my internet connection, it's saying there's something going on. So I just want to double check with you guys. Is this still working okay for you?
You're breaking up a bit, Scott, but Cadi's fine. So
that's fine, Paul. You can, if I break up, you can be host, Paul, because yeah.
I will do. I'm just going to let Cadi carry on talking. It's great. Put the questions in, put your hands up, and we'll ask some questions if you want. That's quite scary. Scott's made me the host now.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cadi, carry on with your fantastic swims and where they are.
Oh wow, pressure. Well, there's just so many places, aren't there? And that's the wonderful thing about the swimming community as well. The more people you talk to, the more you learn about different places to swim. And you know, whether it's wild swimming, as some people call it, or open water swimming, whatever it is. And again, that comes down to not having judgment on people. You swim where you feel comfortable, you swim where you want to swim. So long as you are looking after yourself, that's the main thing, and being educated about where you swim. There's certainly lots more places to swim as well. Are you off, Sally?
No, I'm just saying, I was going to say, you know, my husband is not a swimmer and therefore doesn't really understand the draw that I have to the water. And he just, you know, he's long suffering, but he does worry when I go in by myself and there's nobody around and it's not organised. He is very much more comfortable with me swimming down at Hoveringham, where he knows there's someone who can help me and I'm not going to be causing, you know, having a problem myself. But he's getting better at allowing me to go on my own in certain places, provided I have somebody on hand who's kind of watching, or, you know, so I've been down, for example, to Newquay and swum in the sea by myself off the headland because I have a friend who lives down there and she doesn't swim, but she stands on the headland with a phone. And I always have my boy with me, and I, you know, and I just feel, I can't explain. I mean, I've been in rough seas in Brighton as well, like Sarah was saying. I've been in rough seas around the headland and places in Cornwall and Devon. But once you're in the water, I lose the fear of what might happen because I just go with it. And I've never had any panicked moments because of that, I think. Yeah. But also probably coming to the lake, Cadi, you've been so good at giving us the whole Nauka experience, giving us the knowledge about the cold and what it does to you and how you prepare yourself. So I think with that, I feel more emboldened to try more things.
Yeah, and I think this is it. It is so much about the education and knowing what you're doing and making those choices. Rachel, sorry, you had your hand up there.
Well, I was just going to say to Sally, I swim routine in the sea or in rivers, and I use an app on my phone called Safe Tracks, which is a free app. It's an RWA app. It's called Safe, SAFETRX, and in that you put in the details of your swim. So you put a little picture where you are, where you're starting. If you want to go, where you're going to and where you're coming back, if you're doing an up and down, or just, I sometimes just do start and finish and I'll be somewhere around here. And that will send a text. It asks you if you want to send a text to your emergency contact to tell them that you are in the water. And so I always click yes to that, and they can look on that and they can see your track, so they can see where you are. And it adjusts if your phone starts to, if you don't have much juice left right in your phone, it reduces the amount of time it's reporting your position. But crucially, if you don't call your friend when you get out, you'll have said, I'm going to be in for a certain period of time. And if you overrun on that time and you haven't contacted them, they can try and contact you. If they can't get hold of you, then they contact the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard can access that information and can see where you got in and where you were supposed to be. And a really important thing to do, from a tip from one of my mates who's a police officer, said that when you do that with your emergency contact, and she's quite often my emergency contact, she says, send me a picture with the number plate and a pin of where it is. Because if you've forgotten and you've just headed to Tesco's in your dry robe with nothing underneath, then at least if you come there, you're not in the water. So we save a whole load of resources, because that's the first thing you do is look for your car. Your car is, but the safe thing, the super thing about the safe tracks is if your phone has signal, the card knows where your last known position, and from that they know what time that was. From that they can work out drift and send. If they needed to send someone to look for you, they've got a really good idea where to start, as opposed to just, well, they said they were going down the beach for a swim. Well, which beach did they get in? Well, do you know what? I don't know. They said they were going for a swim and they called me when they got out. So it's a bit more precise. So I'm always happy to swim out. The only thing is with your phone, make sure it's on the, that you put like a water bottle inside your tow float, and that your phone is on top of whatever you've got in there, so that it's close to the top of your bag, because you can inadvertently cause a bit of an alert to your, only to your emergency contact who's checking, going, have you been laying on a bridge for hours on end? No, I've been swimming up and down a river. Oh, sorry, tow float must have switched over. So it's just a couple to be careful of, but yeah, it's a really easy app to use.
Excellent.
That's it.
I was going to come to you, Rachel, and you beat me to it. Thank you so much. The expert on everything.
No, but if I'm still working fine and not like freezing, Rachel's, yeah, I've just popped in a link to Rachel's. Have people seen Rachel's YouTube channel before? It's got absolutely amazing videos. I know she'll be a bit shy about this, but it has. It's got really good advice, and it was it's great that Rachel's going to be one of our ambassadors as well going forward and stuff. So please do like have a look on there and follow her YouTube channel, because every Tuesday you get a real pearl of something about swimming, all sorts of random stuff as well. Yeah, thrown in there. Yeah. Okay. How are we feeling, guys? Are we about there, do you think? Any more questions? I've turned myself back into host, Paul, haven't I, without even asking you?
No, it's great. I love it. You carry on.
I apologise. But no.
It's a hostile takeover.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been a lovely evening, Cadi, and thank you. Certainly got me talking about some stuff that I didn't think I'd talk about. Yeah, I just I'm so glad that you're involved and still supporting bits with the charity and stuff. Yeah, I just think just thanks, full stop, really.
Well, no, thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who's come along to listen as well. So yeah.
So if you invite us to a Bluetonic social thing up there, I'm sure we'll come.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best lake in the country, so you've got to come.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
Give us a date.
Well, I shall sort a date with you all. Paul says he won't come for at least a month because it's not warm enough yet. But,
well, we're looking at that social gathering.
I'm still feeling the side effects of my illness.
We're looking at that social gathering. It's probably the back end of summer, of doing something where people come together. Like hopefully the ambassadors can come together. But we've got David in Northern Ireland, haven't we? We've got Kathleen up in Kathleen Watton. I don't know if people know Kathleen from the swim channels, but she's up in the northeast, up in Northumberland way. Well, Sunderland way, isn't it? So it might be quite a good central. I was thinking Spring Lakes because they're going to have some camping on there, but I'm now seeing Katie's head shake and stuff. Andy's a fan of Spring Lakes as well. But,
oh, is he? Well, we'll talk about that next time Andy's at the lake then. So.
Yeah. He's a bigger fan of Hoveringham, I think.
We'll talk about that in the morning.
Yeah, he's dropped you in it there, Andy, hasn't he?
I'll see you in the morning.
I'll see lots of you in the morning, yes. Yeah.
And good luck with the training, Andy. I hope it's going well.
Thanks. Yeah, it's going pretty well. It's I surprised myself in the pool, but yeah, it's still going well. 4 months to go now, so
Team Bits Missing is still going, yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you promised to come back and tell us how it all goes, haven't you, and stuff?
I will, yeah, definitely come back. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Have a chat.
But thanks again, everyone, for coming. And keep in touch via all our social media stuff. Cadi's going to be doing the Bluetonic group. I think you'll all have probably had an invite to join that. That's a space where you guys can post stuff on there about your experiences, be it a swim, be it sitting down, be it whatever, of being in and around water. So please, like, help us generate some content and invite other people to join in, and stuff like that. That'd be really great. So yeah, take care, everybody. And
so Sarah, who I met in the chat room, if you ever want to have a chat about anything, just get in touch with me. Okay.